What is the measure of greatness in Jesus' kingdom? Well, if you look through the Gospels, you might see a few different answers to that. In Matthew chapter 18, we see Jesus describes greatness as the humility of a childlike heart. In Matthew 20 and in chapter 23, Jesus describes greatness as the humility of a servant's heart. But I want you to notice how Jesus describes greatness in the Sermon on the Mount. In Matthew chapter 5, Jesus has just finished saying that he hasn't come to abolish God's law, but to fulfill it, even down to the smallest letter and stroke of the law. He then says this in Matthew 5, verse 19 and 20. Whoever then annuls one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever keeps and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. What does Jesus say is the measure of greatness in his kingdom? Obedience. Now, we might get the idea sometimes that the scribes and Pharisees, they were just a little bit too obedient, that they were too uptight and straight-laced, and Jesus has come to just kind of loosen them up a little bit, to lower the standards, bring them down to earth. But Jesus didn't come to lower the bar. He came to raise the bar. He says, unless our righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, we're not even going to set foot into the kingdom. And so the problem with the scribes and Pharisees isn't that they were too obedient. In fact, they weren't obedient enough. Now, they were very meticulous when it came to cleaning the outside of the cup and the dish, as Jesus describes in Matthew 23. But inwardly, they weren't obedient to God at all. And so as Jesus continues in the Sermon on the Mount, he's going to show us what true obedience looks like, obedience from the heart. And that's the measure of greatness and his kingdom.